Damn, it's really been that long? Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for top 5 attackers. You guys have been requesting this for a while for me to bring this back, and the reason why I didn't because I felt like it was pretty obvious, but I guess to new players and to returning players, it'd be good to see a video where it's like, oh, okay, these are the top 5 attackers, these are what's good in the game and all that. So I thought, why not? Let's bring it back for the one time. So I don't know if I'm gonna make these monthly or if I'm gonna make these yearly. I think I'll just make these every 6 months or something. Whenever the meta gets shaken up by a new unit, I may make it. But for right now, we're just gonna call this top 5 attackers for 2020. Now let me say this, compared to last time we did this, which was June 2019, a lot has changed in the game. A lot more attackers are able to be used. We have a lot better attackers, and overall the ones that stand on top are on top for a ton of different reasons and not just the damage they deal. Also take this list with a grain of salt, because if you're doing something like Aces or Vits or something that is super in-game, the units that are top on this list or the top 5 on this list, none of them may actually be the best attackers for those events. For those events, you need very specific units, but of course, I'll be trying to talk about everybody that I possibly can within this list. Now, for honorable mentions, I'm going to mention 2 people, okay? There's going to be 2 people for honorable mentions because I think that they're very strong and sometimes could even perform at the level of their counterparts, but they are both crossover units and I thought I would put them in here because why not? The first one being Sonic. Sonic recently got buffed. His damage is pretty insane. Pretty consistent too. With his crit chance buff plus his true art modifier buff, you're able to even increase that further if you're using something like Sonic Scarf on him. That's a additional 100% damage up, and with the crits he's just slapping people, you know what I'm saying? His slots are pretty decent too. It kind of does have some team play to it. He has those Sistina slots, so definitely some team play, and he's just a really good attacker, and you technically can nuke with him if you want to, but personally I would say just use him as your main attacker if you do have it. Next would be Yusuke. Now Yusuke of course is a fan favorite. Love the man. He does some damage. The main downside to him is he just doesn't have any crit chance just built into his kit, but that's not an issue at all. You could put someone on his team that buffs up crit chance and magic damage. A very good partner for him most of the time is actually Zila, because Zila does magic damage and crit chance, and Yusuke is a magic damage dealer, and he's also one of those overtime ramping damage dealers similar to Dilia. So every time he uses arts, he's going to be increasing his damage all the way up to 200%. Every time he uses skill, he's going to be increasing his attack all the way up to 100%, and then once you're using his true art, he's going to deal massive 55,000% water damage magic to the enemy, and at the same time he's gonna be able to autofill all allies art gauge by 5 for 8 seconds. He is art gen type B, by the way. Now with the honorable mentions out of the way, let's get into the legit top 5 attacker. Coming in at the number 5 spot, this may surprise some of you guys, but personally I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna put her here, and that is my girl Shuri. Shuri is one of the strongest attackers in the entire game and probably has the highest damage ceiling in the entire game if you really optimize her. But the reason why I'm putting her at number 5 is because she does have some major downsides to her. One being that she is an extremely investment heavy unit. If you do not have the equips, she's not gonna work. Not only do you need the equips, you need the right team comps. Even myself, I don't have the perfect team comp. To me personally, I think the perfect team comp you could use with her is using someone like Daki alongside her, so she has the 100% defense ignored plus the 60% damage up, and then probably Mako and Finn or some other arch generator or somebody with some defense slots on the team to just help protect her. And that's a major issue. Needing tons and tons of investment, especially if you're a new player getting into the game, can turn you off from the unit, or if you get the unit, you'll realize that, oh, she's dying a ton, oh, she's not doing as much and all that. However, if you do have her and you do have the units and the team comps to make her work, I would personally say she's probably higher on the list than number 5. Coming in on number 4 spot, we're going to be having Freed. Putting Dilia. So why is Dilia number 4 and not higher on the list? Let's tell you about it. If you guys don't know what she does, she's a ramping unit. Every time you use her art, she's going to be increasing her blood of the ancient stacks. Every time she gets a blood of ancient stacks, she increases her attack by 20% upon reaching max. You get 100% attack, of course, and then you also get 100% damage up and 100% crit rate up, just all on this unit. Then afterwards, with her true art, she's able to give tons and tons of art gauge to her team while also dealing tons of damage. Now, the reason why she's number 4 and not higher on the list is because Dilia is used mainly in some raid comps and in very in-game heavy content. In most situations, you actually don't need to use Dilia at all. Better off using an attacker that's a little bit faster than her for most general content in the game, just so you're not taking like forever doing content. You can just, you know, go through it, beat the content within like seconds to a minute, and then go on with your day. But I think still for right now, until at least Juno releases later on, she's going to be the best ramping damage dealer we currently have in the game, and that's why I think she's number 4. You guys could put her higher on your list, but me, I say she's number 4. Very strong strong raid unit, very strong in-game unit, but not that great in general play. You could get away with using anybody else because they're just going to be faster than her. And ladies and gentlemen, we have made it to our top 3 now. If you are enjoying the video, if you find the video informative, the case may be, make sure you guys hit that like button for me. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We're very close to 20k. As for the units that I'm about to talk about though, I was trying to leave out units that were really like buffing the team, helping their team out, and more so just focused on actual damage dealers and attackers. But nowadays I just can't do that because every single attacker that releases is pretty much a sub attacker that deals tons of damage. And with that being said, let's talk about our number 3 spot, which I may get some hate for this, I'm not for sure, but I want to say that the next 3 units are all extremely strong and all good no matter where you use them. It's not like a downside if I say one is lower than the other or one's higher than the other. All of them are extremely good. So number 3, we're going to be putting the man Berwick here. Now, of course, I know Berwick was, I think, number 2 or 1 last time on the top 5 attackers, and the reason why we put him there, I know a lot of people were asking that last time. It was like, bro, he's a sub attacker, he buffs up his allies, he gives them art gauge, he gives them damage. Well, nowadays with every single damage dealer that comes out, they're usually giving something to their team. They're no longer selfish like how the attackers back in the day were. You know, whenever I would make top 5 attackers lists like every single month, those attackers back then, we didn't have Blood Knights and all that. But now with the Blood Knights and Cross the Blaze, the attackers that are coming out are a lot more team oriented. So Berwick is one of those attackers that came from the Blood Knights. He helps out his team, he gives them art gauge, he's able to increase everybody's damage by 50% and then additional 50% if they're a fire unit. Also, upon him activating his Magia drive, he instantly gets the 100% crit chance and 200 art gauge back up instantaneously. Overall, the boy Berwick is just insane. Does tons of damage. I still use him to this day on multiple different teams against multiple different bosses. One of the strongest units to ever be released in GS. In my opinion, probably the most perfected unit we ever got in GS. He literally has everything that you ever want all in one kit. So I think Berwick definitely deserves number 3 or even higher on this list to some people. Coming in at number 2 spot, she came out recently, which is actually Sistina. Now Sistina is here and you may be like, OP, what about Swick? OP Swick's very similar. Why is Swick not on the list? And let me tell you why. So Sistina is pretty much a better version of Swick. That's all it is. If you are going to be using her cross art, she's going to be out damaging Swick in a lot of situations, but you don't have to use her cross art. Most of the time I would tell you to actually ignore the cross art and just build teams with her on it and use her on teams to help buff up the damage of other physical damage dealers. Sistina is literally like Berwick. She's able to give everybody on her team physical damage up by 100%. She's able to increase damage to enemies by 30%, which is extremely strong. That's the same exact effect that Mako has, so that's a multiplicative debuff. She's also able to give everybody art gauge with her normal art and a barrier, which is very, very nice. She has really good slots too, but you can use her alongside any other physical damage dealer that's very strong. Just put her on the team and she's good. She's pretty much like a more offensive oriented Norn, where Norn gives you tons and tons of art gauge. She's gonna give you tons of damage and also protect the team at the same time with her barriers. With other good supporting units and using her alongside other damage dealers, you probably won't take any damage because she's just gonna block everything anyway. And then finally, coming in at our number 1 spot, he has been king for so long, this shouldn't surprise anyone. This man, ever since he came out, even before he came out, everyone knew how meta breaking he was, and that is our boy Vox. Vox still to this day is one of the strongest units GS has ever released. Every single time this man is on a banner, the banner's value instantaneously goes up by like 300%. This guy's an embodiment of a jack of all trades. However, everything that he does, he is the best at. Unlike in other mobile games where they have a jack of all trade units and they're actually pretty strong, but they may not be the greatest at everything they do, Vox is the complete opposite. He is literally the greatest at everything he does. To just give you an example, and I always have to tell people this whenever they talk about Vox, and they're like, you know, we don't see why Vox is revered as this best attacker in the game. They don't understand it. They just think it's about his damage. And let me tell you why it's not just about his damage. Yes, he does have an insane modifier on his true art, being 45,000. Plus with his Magia drive, he's able to increase his attack, skill CT, paralysis resist, and freeze resist by 100%. So you know what that means? That means nothing is stopping him unless you feint him. But with him doubling his attack, with him having that massive true art, plus the 100% crit rate. That alone makes him already a strong attacker, but he's also self-sufficient. He can do it by himself. The reason why, his skill gives 20 art gauge, and then once he's in Magia Drive, his skill now gives himself 40 art gauge instead. So he's self-sufficient, he's an amazing attacker. Also, did I mention he's a healer? If you are taking tons of damage on your team, you can pop your normal art and it's gonna pretty much heal you for 30% of your HP. If you guys are new to the game, you may not know this, but whenever a unit says increase ally stats by 30% or any percentage, that doesn't just mean attack, HP, and defense. That means attack, HP, defense, and even current HP. He was actually the way how some people were able to cheese Asus whenever she came out, because Asus does the 1% nuke. So what you would do is you would use Vox's normal art at the end of it to heal everyone. Not only can he heal this way, he also has a 4-star heal slot, which is very strong as well. And then finally, did I mention that he can arch-gen or give you damage buffs if you need it because of his 5-star support slot? This man has everything going for him, and it's no secret that he is the best attacker in the game, and he probably will be the best attacker in the game for a long time to come. Even with the attackers they've released on the Japanese side of the game, he is still the best, man. They've tried to counter him, they try to build stuff against him, and you have to ask yourself, if the developers are building stuff to specifically counter one unit and to stop this one unit, doesn't mean that they're weak. It means that they're literally broken. So much so that developers at GS have mentioned countless times, again and again, that they will never create another unit that is as strong as Vox, because that's just too much power for one man. But guys, that is the end of top 5 attackers for 2020. Tell me down below what you guys think of the list. Tell me if you think someone should be hired. Tell me who you think is going to be dropping down from the list with future attackers we're going to be getting within the next few months. I don't know if I'm going to make this again within the next few months. I might, because of course a lot of stuff's going to be changing. We have a lot of up and coming hype attackers to come out, of course, like Juno and Luan. So it's definitely going to be exciting to see what happens whenever they come out, see how much they shake up the meta, if they are going to shake it up at all. But guys, I thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy OP. If you like this video, make sure to hit it with a like. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. We post videos pretty much every single day or every other day, whether it be GS, Genshin Impact, or anything that I want to post. So thank you all for coming out. It's been your boy OP. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for more. And last but not least, man, don't forget to drink water.